Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. I am a professional, intuitive empath, and I am so happy to share some energy with you today. I want to jump right into the title of the video, and this is pertaining to malignant narcissist and covert narcissist and the silent treatment. Now, sometimes when you're on the receiving end of this behavior, you can find yourself in a gaslit situation wondering if they're aware, cognizant, or understanding how they're affecting you, if they're doing it on purpose, if they realize that it's a pattern of theirs. I got the privilege, or rather I should say I had the privilege of doing a very deep dive with someone who was in my life for many years, and I didn't realize till we were on the end of our cycle that she was deeply covert narcissistic. And so I got to watch her do a couple of things that I think were fascinating. One, I got to watch her court and hoover and kind of love bomb a new supply. She didn't know that the new supply was a malignant narc. She didn't really cross-reference with her old friend, the expert here, the narcissist whisperer, because that's not how that works. She wanted to devalue me, so she did what she did. I have tons of videos and lots of information here, but I want to stick to the subject here. What I got to see was the inside of how it worked, and then I'm going to juxtapose it against my experience with her utilizing the silent treatment, and then her own, I mean, almost verbatim quotes about how she felt when she utilized it on her new supply in order to train her how to treat her or to get her to be submissive. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now, I experienced the silent treatment from her, which was probably one of the more devastating methodologies for me because it was particularly triggering to my childhood. My father was a malignant narcissist, amongst other things, and he absolutely utilized that with me. There was terrible triangulation and various things with siblings and all of the things, and in his own personal life as well. But how his behavior affected me is he would stop speaking to me for like a year or more at a time, come and pick up my brother, not even look at me. He would look through me and not even acknowledge that I was there. So this friend of mine, so very loosely quotation marks there, didn't know the depths of the abuse that I suffered with my father or how he behaved. But the universe made sure that I got to walk through all of that with her because she behaved exactly. And when I say exactly, I mean exactly like him. And I was so triggered, not realizing I was caught up in a karmic loop trying to heal some familial wounding, some generational curses. And so that was how it manifested itself. But that was one of the most vicious tactics that she used, even though she may not have, well, she was aware. She wasn't aware of the depths of how it triggered me, but she loved the response that she got across the board from anybody. So one time specifically, we were on a cruise and she had decided that she needed to kind of avail herself to me when the liquor was really good and I was trying to keep our boundaries. And I turned her down. This was a reoccurring theme. I was like, no, we're going to keep our boundaries. 3:33 when that happened, Ascended Master stepped in to help me. Now, the punishment for turning her down and being a good friend and taking her phone so she wouldn't drunk dial her coworkers and tell them about how all their boobs were great and she wouldn't embarrass herself was that she punished me in the subsequent days by just kind of disappearing on the ship and not speaking to me, taking zero accountability for it until I actually confronted her and was like, you know that you do this all the time and it's kind of weird. And then she was like, oh, I just don't know how to communicate. I just da-da-da-da-da. So I kind of let it go because, you know, they'll gaslight you, they'll sweet talk you, and you'll think like, oh, well, maybe, I don't know. She also, let's say this, I didn't say to her, I realize that you're giving me the silent treatment because I said, let's have healthy boundaries in the sexual area. I didn't say that to her because she feigned narcissistic amnesia. That's another video. It's a real thing. I learned about it in this last year because I thought, I really thought something was wrong with her. Actually, I mean, there are many things wrong with her, but I thought that I was dealing with somebody who might have some more deep psychological issues because I thought this is so odd, her behavior, that she just pretends she doesn't remember what she does the night before. But it's very convenient because narcissists, we know, of any stripe, do not like to take accountability or be held accountable. It's their least favorite thing. So that was what she did. So that was how I experienced it over and over. I could tell you stories that would curl your toes. That was one that just stood out to me because it was so disorienting being on a ship by myself, literally by myself, went with a friend that I had gone with, and she just decided she was going to punish me because how dare I have boundaries. Sound familiar, guys? So fast forward to years later, and she is hoovering a new supply. She doesn't think that I know what she's doing, but I do. And she calls me to tell me about a delightful day she had making her most favorite supply, Tinsley, shudder, cry, and have an emotional breakdown. Now, while she was doing this, because she was working up to it over a few days, and while she was doing it, I remember thinking, I don't think she realizes that Tinsley's a malignant narcissist who is going to make her pay dearly and is going to crush her as soon as she has her inner grips. Tinsley was also a Scorpio, so she was ruthless in her way. But she came and she described to me how she didn't talk to her for days and days because what had happened was she wanted to be supreme in Tinsley's friend group. She wanted to eviscerate the competition. She was sick of all the other girls that she walked with and had to be the bridesmaids of. And I was like, little do you know, maybe Tinsley's sleeping with all of them. Maybe she's not sleeping with every single one of them. But the point is that it was a lot of that narcissistic drama and triangulation happening in that friend group. It was very high school for these almost 40-year-old women that were in a business professional setting. Very strange. However, it is not abnormal. This is a psychosis that's running rampant amongst all of us, our next door neighbors, our people in our cubicle. Just pay attention, guys. There's a lot of mental illness going on. So Tinsley was not submitting, and she didn't like that Tinsley had options. She wanted to be her only option, which is hilarious because covert narcissists and narcissists never have one option. So I don't think she connected who Tinsley really was. It's very interesting to me that she didn't see how similar they were. Maybe she knows now. I don't know. But what I will say is that she came and she talked to me about it, and she described how she didn't talk to her for a day after day until finally Tinsley literally was a puddle of shaking mess. And I remember listening to her, and she was describing it, and it was so vampiric. She was getting so much energy from the fact that she had made Tinsley this very strong Scorpio who she was obsessively infatuated with her. So it was like even more delicious to her that she was able to get her to submit. And I listened to her describe her tactic, her calculated, strategic tactic. I listened to her day after day give me reports, and I would kind of gut check her like, maybe you should talk to her. Even though I knew who Tinsley was going to be in my life, I'm still an empath, and I don't like to see anybody in pain, even if they treat me like I'm their enemy, which is how Tinsley treated me. And I kind of advocated for her, and I was like, hey, you might pull back here, homie. That's a little too much. And she didn't pull back. She completed the mission and then told me all about how she'd just never seen anybody cry like that, and it just was so amazing. And she didn't say amazing, she said it was just so interesting because, I mean, she's so mean to everybody, and she yells at everybody. So do you see what happened there, guys, that have dealt with narcissistic abuse? She was able to derive a great hit of narc energy and supply from Tinsley because Tinsley broke down. And that breakdown made her feel even more powerful because Tinsley, as far as she was concerned, was at the top of the pecking order in their office structure. So she thought, I have conquered the giant. And I thought, oh, but the giant's going to conquer you, and you'll pay for this. You will pay for this because she's going to own you. Because that's the nature of a Scorpio, and a low vibrational Scorpio, even more so, and a karmic Scorpio, girl. It was the perfect storm. So I just want you guys to understand, yes, the narcissist knows exactly what they're doing with the silent treatment. She delighted in it. She explained it to me thoroughly. She talked about it. Was almost like she was a scientist taking notes and studying. So I was the anthropologist, and maybe she was in the lab, but I was taking notes like she was the rat in the lab. I was watching her, and I was like, oh, this is how it's done. I'm going to teach this, and I'm going to break people out of bondage with it. Thank you, Tinsley, for being the guinea pig and being a hot mess. Thank you, girl. Thank you for Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for showing me that I wasn't insane. All those years that I had suffered under the cruelty that she doled out, and I just made excuses for it with my magical black empath energy. I decided I was going to overlook what was a very obvious thing. And my father, indeed, too, knew what he was doing. He loved it, he utilized it, and he used it to crush people. And she did the same thing. It was like watching one of those cars at the junkyard crush just so effortlessly, a stack of cars, that crane or that thing that they put down on it. That was what she did. And when she described doing it to Tinsley, I thought, oh, this is how you treat your friends. Your really good friends, especially the friends you want to sleep with or will sleep with. This was her way of making sure that Tinsley knew who was boss. I'm sure Tinsley has repaid her in kind and showed her exactly who is boss. In any case, it was a powerful lesson, and I don't want you to second guess yourself, okay? They do know what they're doing. They delight in doing it. And it is actually one of their favorite, most delicious ways beyond triangulation to extract energy from you so that they can feed their empty, empty souls. Heads up, 7-Up, guys. The narc is always plotting, and they are soul sucking. They are succubuses. Pay attention. Covert or malignant, one and the same. Similar strategies, different game. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for joining me. Come back next time, and we will continue to decode the narcissist and evolve together.